Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take your sources, articles, notes, research, and pull out the key insights, the really important stuff to help you get truly well-informed fast.
And today, we're diving deep into a landmark film, Black Panther from 2018.
Absolutely. Our mission today is to explore this film, unpack its story, the incredible production behind it, and its huge cultural significance.
It really asks such a fascinating question from the get-go, doesn't it? Like, what if this hidden, super advanced nation just decided to show itself to the world?
Yeah.
What kind of chaos, what kind of conflicts, internally and externally, would that kick off?
Exactly that. And that's really the core tension in Marvel Studios' Black Panther, a film that, it didn't just tweak the superhero genre, it really sparked global conversations about identity, responsibility, power.
Oh, definitely. It went way beyond just being a superhero movie.
So that's what we're exploring today. We'll dig into Wakanda itself, this hidden nation. We'll look at the challenge to T'Challa's throne, the amazing real-world inspirations for, the look of the film, the costumes.
Which were incredible.
Weren't they? And also the powerful, sometimes really conflicting discussions that started about representation and identity. Expect some surprising facts, maybe some aha moments that show why this film became such a global thing.
Should be a good one.
All right, let's dive in. First stop. Wakanda itself, this incredible hidden world. Before the movie, this place was like a total secret, right? Tucked away in Africa for centuries.
Yeah, completely off the grid. And they did it deliberately, projecting this image of being, an underdeveloped country. Just a facade, really.
All to protect themselves?
Exactly, to shield this incredibly advanced civilization from, the outside world, potential threats, exploitation.
It's such a cool premise. And it has history, right? It's not just made up out of thin air.
Not at all. The foundation is pretty epic, actually. Thousands of years back, this meteorite crashes in Africa. But it's not just any rock. It's packed with vibranium.
The super metal.
The super metal, yeah. And initially, there were these 5 tribes warring over it. But then one warrior ingests this unique plant, the heart-shaped herb.
Which was affected by the vibranium.
Precisely. It gave him superhuman abilities. He becomes the first Black Panther. And he manages to unite 4 of those tribes. They form Wakanda.
But one tribe held out.
Right, the Jabari tribe. They chose to remain separate, up in the mountains, sticking to their own traditions. And this whole origin story, it's brilliant because it perfectly blends this ancient, almost mythical beginning with, futuristic tech, tradition and innovation side by side.
So vibranium is key. That glowing blue stuff we see before it's refined into that, sleek metal look. It's not just a plot point. It's the reason for everything.
It absolutely is. It's the engine of Wakanda. Their tech, their society, their ability to stay hidden, it all comes back to vibranium. And think about that choice, holding on to the most powerful substance on Earth and deciding, nope, we're keeping this secret.
4 centuries.
Yeah, for millennia. And that deep history, that deliberate isolation, it shapes everything, especially T'Challa's initial perspective on leadership. His main job, as he sees it, is protection.
Yeah.
Keep Wakanda safe.
And that protection, that isolation, let them develop technology that's just leagues ahead of everyone else. We see those maglev trains, right? Zipping around.
Seamlessly.
Hovercraft, the Kimoyo beads. Everyone wears those little bracelets that do everything.
Communicators, projectors, medical scanners.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tech woven into life, not just bolted on.
And that sand table tech, it looks like magic.
It does, doesn't it? But it all stems from a really specific design philosophy. It wasn't just about looking cool or futuristic.
So how did they approach that? What was the thinking behind the look of Wakanda?
Well, director Ryan Coogler was central to that. He really wanted Wakanda to feel real, not just like some generic sci-fi city. His main inspiration actually came from Lesotho.
Lesotho?
Yeah, the country completely surrounded by South Africa. It managed to stay independent, largely because of its mountainous terrain. That idea of a naturally protected, independent nation became sort of the core concept for Wakanda.
That's really smart, grounding it like that.
Exactly. And then the production designer, Hannah Beachler, she did incredible work. She pulled architectural ideas from all over Africa, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, Congo-Kinshasa, Ethiopia. She mixed that with the really fluid, futuristic designs of Zaha Hadid, the architect.
Oh, wow.
And they even looked back at pre-colonial African empires, like the Mali Empire at Timbuktu, trying to capture that sense of history and grandeur, but projecting it forward.
So it's a blend of past, present, and future, all rooted in African aesthetics.
Totally. It's why it feels so unique and, lived in. You see circular shapes everywhere, too, symbolizing energy, unity.
Yeah.
It's all very thought out.
Even the vehicles, right. They weren't just generic spaceships.
No way. The king's ship, the Royal Talon Fighter, designed to look like an African mask from above and below.
That's cool.
And the Dragon Flyer, inspired by the Congo peafowl. Beautiful design. Even Shuri's lab, which is just, tech heaven.
Yeah, loved her lab.
It was designed to reflect her personality. The colors matched her outfits, and those hexagonal panels on the walls, they'd pulse and ripple, showing they were active, maybe healing someone.
So cool. All of this tech, this incredible power built on vibranium. That's what T'Challa inherits. Huge responsibility.
Massive. And that brings us to T'Challa himself. We meet him, or rather see him take center stage after his father T'Chaka dies in Captain America, Civil War.
Right, so Black Panther starts with him coming home to take the throne. He's already the Black Panther. He has the powers from the herb.
But now he has to be king. And Chadwick Boseman's portrayal, just phenomenal. He brought such weight to it. He actually called T'Challa an anti-hero because he's so aware of this immense burden, this responsibility.
He really seemed to dive deep into preparing for it.
Oh, incredibly deep. He didn't just, read the comics. He went to South Africa twice. He studied historical figures, Shaka Zulu, Nelson Mandela, even Fela Kuti for musical and political insight. Wow. He trained in Dambe, Capoeira Angola, Zulu stick fighting. He even took a DNA test to connect with his own African ancestry. It was all in.
You feel that commitment in the performance, that sense of history and duty.
Absolutely. And that coronation scene is so powerful, visually and symbolically. He's presented to the tribes accepting the mantle.
And that's where he brings Nakia back, right? His ex who's a spy, a war dog.
Yeah, which immediately shows he's maybe not going to do things exactly like his father. He relies on people he trusts, even if it breaks protocol slightly.
It sets up his character really well. But his path isn't smooth, is it? He faces a challenge right away.
Immediately. That ritual combat tradition at Warrior Falls. M'Baku, the leader of the Jabari tribe.
The ones who stayed separate?
Right. He challenges T'Challa for the throne. And crucially, T'Challa has to fight without the powers of the heart-shaped herb.
So it's a pure test of skill and character.
Exactly. And this is where we see T'Challa's leadership style emerge. He wins, but he doesn't kill M'Baku. He persuades him to yield, spares his life. It's about mercy, strategy, maybe unity over just brute force.
Which is a big deal in that context.
Huge. And Winston Duke, who played M'Baku, talked about how the Jabari represent tradition, this strong moral core. They even speak a different dialect, a version of Igbo, while most Wakandans speak Xhosa, emphasizing their difference.
Little details like that add so much depth. And that waterfall set for the fight must have been massive to build.
Oh, it was a huge practical set. 36 feet high, a big pool, cliffs. The VFX extended to look 100 feet tall. All hand-sculpted foam for safety. A major piece of filmmaking.
Amazing. So this internal challenge with M'Baku, even though resolved, kind of sets the stage for a bigger threat, doesn't it? Something tied to Wakanda's past.
It absolutely foreshadows it. A threat born from that very isolation T'Challa is trying to uphold. And that threat arrives in the form of Eric Stevens, Killmonger. Introduced as this lethal Black Ops guy, ex-SEAL. But then the reveal, he's N'Jadaka, T'Challa's cousin.
Wow. And his goal is basically to take over Wakanda and radically change its direction.
Totally. He wants to overthrow T'Challa and implement his own vision, which is much more interventionist, much more revolutionary, arguably much more violent.
Michael B. Jordan's performance was intense. He made Killmonger more than just a standard villain.
Oh, definitely. Jordan compared the T'Challa-Killmonger dynamic to Professor X and Magneto. Shared roots, opposing methods. He saw Killmonger as strategic, patient, not just angry.
Did he do similar deep prep work like Boseman?
He did. He studied Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, Huey P. Newton, figures associated with Black liberation and revolutionary thought. He even mentioned Heath Ledger's Joker as an influence.
That tells you something about the level of complexity he was aiming for.
Right. He's driven by something understandable, a sense of historical injustice, even if his path is brutal.
And his look was so distinctive, too, those scars.
Yeah, the ritualistic markings all over his body. Based on scar tattoos from the Mercy and Surma tribes, apparently representing kills.
Whoa.
Took hours to apply every day. 90 individual silicone molds. Plus the dreadlocks, a modern take on the comic look. It all just screams intensity and purpose.
So his arrival just ramps everything up. It's not just a fight, it's a challenge to Wakanda's whole identity.
Absolutely. It forces Wakanda and T'Challa to confront the consequences of their secrecy.
Which brings us to that museum heist. Killmonger and Ulysses Klaue.
Andy Serkis, yeah.
Yeah?
Stealing that vibranium artifact in London, though, filmed in Atlanta's High Museum.
Right. And that leads to the big chase scene in Busan, South Korea.
Which is where things really start to unravel for Wakanda's secrecy. Klaue, being Klaue, basically blurts out the truth about Wakanda's tech to the CIA agent, Everett Ross.
Martin Freeman's character.
Yeah. And Serkis said Klaue wasn't just after money. He had a personal vendetta against T'Challa, wanted to expose Wakanda's hypocrisy. His arm cannon, by the way, was repurposed Wakandan mining tech.
Nice detail. And that Busan chase, it felt really old school, in a good way.
It was meant to. Coogler was inspired by classics like Bullet, The French Connection. They used 150 cars, 700 extras, filmed all over Busan. It was a massive sequence.
And it ends with Ross getting badly hurt trying to protect Nakia.
Exactly. Which forces T'Challa's hand. He has to bring Ross, an outsider, into Wakanda to save his life using their advanced medicine. The secret is starting to crack open.
And this whole sequence basically blows Killmonger's cover story too, right? It connects him back to Wakanda.
It puts all the pieces in motion. It brings Killmonger's past crashing into T'Challa's present, making the conflict deeply personal and setting up the big confrontation back in Wakanda.
The moment where Killmonger arrives in Wakanda with Klaue's body, that's intense. And then Zuri reveals the truth.
Yeah, Forrest Whitaker's character, the elder statesman.
Yeah.
He reveals Killmonger is N'Jadaka, son of Prince Njobu, T'Chaka's own brother.
Who T'Chaka killed.
Yes. Killed him in Oakland years ago because Njobu wanted to share Wakandan tech with oppressed black people globally, and T'Chaka left the young N'Jadaka behind, abandoned him.
Oh, man. That's heavy. So Killmonger's return is pure vengeance, but also ideology.
Exactly. He brings Klaue's body as proof of his capability, asserts his claim to the throne by blood, and challenges T'Challa to ritual combat. Again.
And this time, the stakes are even higher. It's not just about the crown, it's about the entire philosophy of Wakanda.
Absolutely. It's isolationism versus global revolution. T'Challa's protectionism versus Killmonger's desire to use Wakanda's power to liberate or maybe conquer the world in the name of black empowerment. It forces that question, what is Wakanda's responsibility to the outside world, especially to people of African descent facing oppression?
That's a really difficult question with no easy answer.
None at all. Killmonger represents a valid critique of Wakanda's inaction, even if his methods are horrifying.
And after he wins the challenge, his actions are brutal, killing Zuri.
Silencing the past, in a way.
And then burning the heart-shaped herbs, trying to destroy the Black Panther legacy itself.
It shows his absolute commitment. He's not just taking over, he's erasing the old way entirely. Though Nakia, quick thinking, saves one herb.
Thank goodness. But yeah, it shows he's playing for keeps. He wants a total reset.
Total reset. It sets up the final battle, not just for Wakanda, but for its soul, its future direction. Will it remain hidden, or will it engage with the world? And if so, how? Killmonger forces that reckoning.
So how did they actually pull this off? Making a film this complex, this culturally specific, yet so huge and popular, it really starts with the director, Ryan Coogler.
Absolutely. Coogler directed and co-wrote it with Joe Robert Cole. He got the job in early 2016 and called it his most personal movie because he'd loved the comics his whole life.
You can feel that passion. And he brought his regular team with him, right?
Yeah, which was smart. Cinematographer Rachel Morrison, production designer Hannah Beachler, composer Ludwig Göransson. People he'd worked with on Fruitvale Station and Creed. It helped give the film its own distinct feel within the MCU.
Which was important. He didn't want it to be just another Marvel movie.
Exactly. Unique, but still fitting the bigger picture. And it was a huge deal from the start, first MCU film with black director and a mostly black cast. Thinking back, Wesley Snipes tried to get a Black Panther movie made way back in '92.
Wow, really? Shows how long the journey was.
Yeah. So Coogler's vision, his personal connection, and the team he assembled were crucial in making it something special.
And that vision extended to building the world, making it feel authentic, the design, the costumes. We touched on it, but it's worth digging into more.
Oh, for sure. They really did their homework. Consulted experts, drew from so many different African cultures. It wasn't just generic African-inspired. It was specific.
Ruthie Carter's costumes won an Oscar, right?
Deservedly so. She looked at the Maasai, Himba, Dogon, Basotho, Tuareg. The list goes on. She created something like 700 unique costumes.
700?
Yeah. And the Dora Milaje, the Royal Guards. She specifically avoided that skimpy bathing suit look you sometimes see. She gave them practical armor, intricate beadwork, symbols of heritage. They look like warriors.
OK's costume with the gold rings and neck pieces.
Right, referencing the Ndebele people, signifying her status. And the color palettes for each tribe, green for river, blue for border, plums for merchant. It just built this rich visual tapestry.
Even the hair felt authentic, didn't it?
Totally. The hair department head, Camille Friend, focused on traditional styles, braids, locks, twists, natural and beautiful, reflecting the diversity within Wakanda. It all adds up to that immersive feeling.
It really does. So beyond the visuals, how did they actually film it all? Where did they shoot?
Mostly in Atlanta, actually. They used studios like Johannes Green Gems and Pinewood, Atlanta, but also real locations. The High Museum for the London Museum scene, Atlanta City Hall, doubled as the UN building.
Clever.
And of course, that big sequence in Busan, South Korea. Principal photography was about 4 months, early 2017.
And technically, what cameras, what challenges?
Rachel Morrison used Arri Alexa cameras, Panavision lenses, lots of advanced LED lighting, apparently, to handle the vibrant colors in complex sets, especially indoors. The editing was key, too. Michael Shaver and Debbie Berman were the editors.
Debbie Berman mentioned something interesting, didn't she, about the final battle?
Yeah, she noted that being South African, she felt strongly about including female Jabari warriors in that final fight scene, adding them in during the edit. She thought it might not have happened with an all-male editing team. A small change, maybe, but it reinforces the film's strong female presence.
That's a great insight. Little things add up. Did you know the working title was Motherland?
I did hear that. Really fits the themes, doesn't it? And they apparently used some VFX tweaks in the opening flashback to make young T'Chaka look distinct from young T'Challa, adding gray to his beard, gold to his suit, just to avoid any confusion.
Smart production details. Even moving the UN speech to the post-credits scene.
Right, apparently it was originally part of the main ending, but they shifted it. Probably for better pacing, or a stronger final emotional beat for T'Challa's personal journey. It all speaks to careful crafting.
And you can't talk about crafting Wakanda without talking about the sound, the music.
Oh, the score is phenomenal. Ludwig Göransson.
Yeah.
He didn't just write music about Africa, he went to Africa. Spent a month in Senegal.
Really?
Yeah, traveled with the musician Baba Maal, worked with local artists. He recorded instruments like the talking drum, the fula flute, right there, and used that as the core, the base of the score.
That's incredible dedication. You can hear that authenticity.
You really can. People said he pushed Marvel out of its comfort zone musically, much like James Gunn did with Guardians of the Galaxy. He gave Black Panther its own unique sonic identity. It wasn't just generic orchestral stuff, it was Wakanda.
And then there was the soundtrack album, too, separate from the score, with Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah, huge deal. Kendrick Lamar and Top Dog Entertainment produced Black Panther. The album? It had songs actually in the film, plus others inspired by it. Big hits like All the Stars, King's Dead, Pray for Me.
It was more than just a soundtrack. It was like a companion piece, a whole cultural event in itself.
Absolutely. So you combine Coogler's vision, the incredible design, the groundbreaking music. It all came together to create something that just exploded, critically and commercially.
The numbers are just staggering, weren't they? Over $1.3 billion worldwide.
Billion with a B. Highest grossing solo superhero film at the time, highest grossing by a black director, second highest film of 2018 overall, broke pre-sale records on Fandango. The demand was instant and immense.
And critics loved it too, most
overwhelmingly. Praised the direction, writing, acting, especially Boseman, Jordan, Letitia Wright as Shuri costumes, production design, score, pretty much everything. There were some quibbles about some CGI maybe looking a bit weightless in the big fight.
I remember hearing that. Minor stuff, though, in the grand scheme.
Yet compared to the overall reception, it got a 96% on Rotten Tomatoes, which at the time made it the best reviewed live-action superhero movie on the site. Better than The Dark Knight, better than Iron Man.
Wow. And audiences agreed, right? That A+ cinema score.
Which is super rare, shows people leaving the theater were just blown away. And then the awards, 7 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture.
History made right there. First superhero movie ever nominated for Best Picture.
And it won 3. For costume design, production design, and original score. The first Oscars for any MCU film, huge milestones. But honestly, the impact went way beyond awards and box office.
This is where it gets really fascinating, the cultural impact. It wasn't just a hit movie, it was called a cultural event, a defining moment for Black America.
It really tapped into something deep, that hashtag Black Panther challenge you mentioned earlier. Frederick Joseph starting that GoFundMe, raising nearly $500,000.
Just so kids of color could see the movie. Incredible.
It showed how much positive representation mattered. Seeing Black heroes, a technologically advanced African nation untouched by colonialism, it was powerful. Jamil Smith wrote in Time that it proved Black narratives could be universally profitable and resonant.
Sort of pushing back against old Hollywood assumptions.
Exactly. And serving as a kind of cultural counterpoint to some regressive things happening politically at the time.
Yeah.
Psychologists like Erlanger Turner pointed out how seeing positive portrayals like this strengthens identity, fights negative stereotypes. It was affirming for so many people.
You can see why the Smithsonian wanted the costume and script. It felt historically significant.
Absolutely. And the audience breakdown was remarkable, too. 37% African-American on opening weekend just showed the incredible connection it made. It really became a touchstone.
But like any major cultural event, it also sparked debate, didn't it? Not everyone saw the messages the same way.
No, definitely not. The portrayal of Killmonger, Wakanda's policies, they were dissected from all angles. Some critics felt Killmonger's revolutionary stance was maybe undermined or discredited by the film, making him seem like just a villain rather than someone with valid grievances.
Arguing it favored like polite change over radical change.
Sort of, yeah. Accusations of promoting respectability politics. Others saw potential Islamophobic undertones in how some groups were depicted.
Interesting. How did others frame that central conflict between T'Challa and Killmonger?
Well, Jelani Cobb in The New Yorker had a really interesting take. He saw them as representing dueling responses to centuries of Western exploitation of Africa. He argued the real villain wasn't Killmonger, but history itself.
That's a powerful way to put it.
But then Adam Sura in The Atlantic pushed back, arguing Killmonger actually embodied imperialism, not liberation, pointing to his desire to conquer places beyond the West. So very different readings.
And some critics were even harsher on the film's overall vision of Africa.
Yeah, Patrick Cathar in the Washington Post felt it was still kind of a neo-colonial vision, still showing Africa as tribalized, with succession decided by combat. He argued it didn't break enough from old tropes. And Christopher LeBron in Boston Review even called it racist for how it seemed to value the white CIA agent over Killmonger, representing impoverished Black Americans.
Wow. So really complex and sometimes contradictory reactions.
Which honestly speaks to the film's depth, right? It wasn't simple. It tackled huge themes and left room for interpretation and intense debate. That's part of its power, its enduring impact.
And that impact definitely continues. There was a sequel, Wakanda Forever.
Released in 2022, yeah. Ryan Coogler returned. Very different film, obviously, dealing with the tragic loss of Chadwick Boseman. They chose not to recast T'Challa, making Shuri the lead.
A difficult but respectful decision, and a third film is apparently in the works.
That's the word. Nate Moore producing again. The story of Wakanda isn't over, and its success really did pave the way for other films. Viola Davis said Black Panther helped get The Woman King greenlit.
That makes sense. It showed studios what was possible.
Changed the landscape a bit. And the world keeps expanding. There's that animated series coming to Disney, plus Eyes of Wakanda.
Exploring Wakandan history through artifacts? Sounds cool.
Yeah, focusing on warriors retrieving vibranium items throughout history. And there was talk of an Okoye series with Denai Guerrera, though apparently that's not happening now.
Still, the universe is clearly rich enough for more stories.
Absolutely. Wakanda has become more than just a setting. It's a concept, a platform for exploring really compelling ideas.
So after all that, we've got to ask you listening. What stuck with you most about Black Panther? Was it a specific moment, a character, a theme? Did it change how you think about superhero movies? We'd genuinely love to hear your thoughts.
We really covered a lot today, huh? From Wakanda's hidden origins and T'Challa's journey to Killmonger's challenge, the incredible craft behind the scenes, and its massive cultural ripple effect.
It really was a groundbreaking film, elevated the genre, sparked conversations. Just a phenomenal piece of work.
And it leaves us with that final thought, doesn't it? As Wakanda decides to open up to the world.
Yeah. It makes you think, what secrets do we keep individually or, as societies? And what's the real cost or maybe the benefit of sharing our truths, our resources, our real selves with the wider world? Something to chew on.
Definitely something to think about. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this exploration, please share it with friends and keep digging deeper on your own.